ரெண்டு லிங்க்லையும் போனால நான் தேவையில்லைன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். பின்னாடி வச்சுக்கலாமா? இது ஓகே, முகம் மட்டும் தான் தெரியுது. கேமரா பார்த்துன்னு பேசினாதான் அவங்கள பார்க்குற மாதிரி இருக்கும். அப்போ இங்கே வச்சுட்டுமா சார்? நிற்க வை. சூப்பர். இதை கொஞ்சம் ஷேக் பண்ணாமல் இருந்தா நாம் முடிகிற வரைக்கும் நான் எதுவும் பண்ணுறேன். ஓகே, ரொம்ப கொஞ்சம் இது பண்ணாமல் இதை கரெக்டாக இதில் ஓகே. இது ஸ்விட்ச் போட்டுருக்கேன். லிங்க் ஒன்று தான். லிங்க் ஒன்று போதும். லிங்க் 2 இன்விடேஷன் அதை நிறுத்தி. ஆமா ஆமா. இப்ப பேசுறோம்ல, அது கேக்குதா பாத்துலாமா? ஆமா பாத்து. கேக்குதா? ஒன்னும் இஷ்யூ இல்லைல்ல? சார் வராது. அட்மிட் பண்றியா? 2 பேரும் வாட்சிங். ஹலோ சார். சார் கேளுங்க சார். ரைட். ஷோர். ரெண்டுத்துலயும் மீட் பண்ணிட்டுமா? Hello everyone, and welcome you all to today's FDP. Good morning to each one of you present today. Honorable Chief Guest, respected Principal, learned colleagues, and my dear friends. First of all, I would like to thank our Principal Dr. A. Malar, an energetic, dynamic academician and an efficient administrator, Chief Warden of this FDP, for her suggestions and guidance to this FDP to happen. She is supposed to be preside over this FDP, but due to unavoidable circumstances, she is unable to do so. She is the nodal officer of Ungal Togudiyil Mudalvar, UTM, of our district. She is busy in a meeting in the collectorate. She asked me to wish all of you and convey her thanks regards to all the participants. Thank you, ma'am. Before we carry on with the events, I give my regards and appreciation to all the people who made this occasion a reality and this institution successful. This could not have been possible without the sheer contribution of you all. We all are a part of this institution due to our shared passion for the vision of the institution. Our passion unites us and our hard work strengthens the institution. Even though this webinar is the marker of the success of our institution, it also allows us to meet one of the brilliant minds of the country who become the chief guest for this occasion. I need to disclose to you that the Office of Controller of Examination of our college is either going to organize this kind of FDP periodically or encourage happening often in our institution. It is a need of time. As UGC is going to introduce new education policy, every one of us must be aware of our role in designing the curricular aspects of different programs we offer in our colleges, especially in autonomous colleges like us. Right from the day on which we launched the invitation, we started receiving the responses through registrations. There are more than 420 participants. About 50% of the participants are from the different states of India, like Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra, Maharashtra, Uttarakhand, Odisha, Gujarat, Assam, Jammu Kashmir, Rajasthan, Delhi, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Nagaland, Govt, Jharkhand, Telangana, Mangalore, Punjab, etc., apart from Tamil Nadu. We also have participants from Bangladesh, Muscat, Port Blair, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. With all those words, I am extremely delighted to pronounce the chief guest for the day, who is none other than Dr. Syed Wajeed. I bid a warm welcome to the renowned speaker who took out his valuable time and joined us today. Friends, presently our guest of honor is working as Associate Professor of Microbiology in the prestigious institution run by Jesuit, St. Joseph's College, Bengaluru. He is also the director of IQAC of his college. In this way, I feel proud to introduce this incredible person. His academic qualifications are: he did his UG degree during the year 1995-1998. He is the topper in undergraduate course microbiology, chemistry, and zoology. They have tri-major system. And university rank holder for postgraduate studies in microbiology. He had his both the degrees from Bangalore University. In the following year, that is 2001, he completed JRF Net CSIR for lectureship in life sciences. He completed his PhD in the year 2015 in Manipal University. And if you want to go through his curriculum vitae, it's going to be it runs in pages. I will give you a nutshell from his curriculum vitae. He teaches general microbiology, microbial genetics, molecular biology, DNA technology, microbial physiology, industrial microbiology, microbial diversity, virology, and microbiological techniques and human resource development. He guided more than 130 UG term paper students and 30 MSc microbiology dissertation students till date. He is a coordinator for CBCS and Principles of Genetic Engineering, a certificate course in his college. Nodal officer for NIRF, India Today and Big Ranking. He is also the coordinator for Paramash, a scheme proposed by UGC of India. The objective of Paramash scheme is to mentor NAC accreditation aspirant institutions for promoting quality assurance in higher education and upgrade their academic performance and enable them to get accredited. He received 4 research seminar NAC monitoring projects. To mention, he received ₹30 lakhs from UGC in the year 2019 for Paramash for mentoring NAC aspirant institutions to promote quality assurance in higher education. He has presented more than 5 papers and posters across national and international level. He is the resource persons to the workshop, seminars, symposia, and for all other IQAC related, NAC related events, higher education, outcome-based education, choice-based credit system, human resource development, and Ignitus program. Under HRT and Ignitus, he used to be a resource person for the topics like time management, motivation, leadership, stress management, decision making, and career guidance. He has organized more than 16 symposia, seminars. He has attended more than 40 national, international conferences and seminars. He also scripted and directed a play on HIV, a play on interactions of microorganisms and its environment. He conceptualized and directed a fashion show on microbes in fashion. He reviewed the textbook like Fundamentals of Immunology, a Pearson Education. We are honored to have you all with us, sir. I would also like to offer my regards to all the people who made this webinar functional in such hard times. Obviously, it goes without saying that our great efforts went in preparing for this day because the preparation could not happen overnight. At this juncture, on behalf of Office of Controller of Examination and on my personal behalf, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sabari, Dr. Ashalashmi of Maladar Kesari, who were with us to happen this today. They assured us to cooperate in all of our endeavors in future. So let me appreciate the efforts of all the members who made this possible. Also, I take this opportunity to thank Dr. M. Badmani, Associate Professor of Mathematics, Professor I. Annette Regina, Associate Professor of Computer Science, who are always with me in all of my endeavors. As usual, Mr. Gunasekaran, guest lecturer in our department, Mr. A. Vilvanatha Prabhu, and Mr. Mohammed Faisal, who recently completed their post-graduation in our department, are with us as digital partners. Today's guest of honor would love to hear from you. He will answer your questions at the end of the session. Kindly make a note of your doubts and get clarified at the end. A recorded version of this webinar will be available in the YouTube channel Physics MGS. You can watch it afterwards. I wish this enlightens us and provide us with approaches to deal with the problems of tomorrow. I guarantee that the webinar will be productive and worth your precious time. Now I request the Honorable Chief Guest to address the gathering and cast the light of his knowledge upon us. His comments are quite essential for us who want to be like him one day. Sir, you have motivated us enough by being an example of light in the darkness. We would be delighted with your expertise and knowledge in every way possible. I would like to call upon Dr. Wajeed to accompany us on the stage to enlighten us with his words of true wisdom. Thank you to everyone who made this event possible with their opinions and views. For those of you For those of you just joining us, a warm welcome to everyone. To conclude, I wish you all a great success in your pursuits. Cheers. Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's very clear. Yeah.
sir, we can see.
Okay, thank you very much for the confirmation. So, dear fellow members of faculty of from different colleges, so I personally also welcome to you for this particular session. So, as all of you have gathered here to get some clarity about a new framework, what we call it as learning outcome-based curriculum framework. This is one of the initiative from the UGC. So, as I dwell upon. So I just wanted to start with this quote: "With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts." So we need to keep, thinking aloud as to what is tomorrow. We can't stay with what we were in past. We need to always look at the present where we are, and in the future what we might envisage, and keep moving further. So, future education development agenda in India, it is to foster quality higher education. Now, if we say that there has to be quality in higher education, we need to be working on a lot of assets that we already have, or we need to look at a lot of or take a lot of initiatives. That is, those initiatives which can sustain. So, sustained initiatives are required for institutionalizing an outcome-oriented higher education system. A system where we are looking at outcome. What is that we are going to achieve when we start a program? How are the students going to benefit out of it? How is the society at large going to get benefited? How is the country getting benefited? How is the globe in turn is getting benefited? We need to look at how can we enhance employability of the graduates. It's not just for the sake they need to say that they are literate. At the same time, also they need to learn certain skills because of which they are going to become employable. We need to always keep looking at our academic resources and upgrade those academic resources and learning environment, because as you go along, what you have might become little outdated, so you need to keep updating yourselves. We need to raise the quality of our teaching, our research across all the higher educational institutions. And as you all have learned for the last 2 years, that the pandemic has quite hit, but at the same time, the technology has come in handy, and we are continuing the higher education going. It's all because of the technology. So we need to integrate technology into our day-to-day teaching, and also ensure that the teaching learning process goes on. Okay, and as I said, this is one of the initiative of the UGC. They take several measures, so in order to ensure that higher educational institutions keep up the objectives of imparting knowledge and skills to the students. So hence this was one of the initiative by UGC, that is the learning outcome based curriculum framework. Now, I just wanted to, can you all hear me, dear colleagues?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yes,
You are audible.
You are audible, sir.
Sure. Thank you. So I wanted to take you through certain terminologies that you might be coming across during this session. The first one is a program. Now, what exactly is a program? Program is a collection of courses in which a student enrolls and which contributes to meeting the requirements for the awarding of one or more certificates, diplomas, or degrees. So students come to us and they take up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir. I can hear you, sir.
Sir, excuse me, sir. You please open another browse and present in the second link also, sir.
Yes, I have done that. Thank you. Okay, I've kept the speaker on also from the other link. Okay, so thank you.
Please present in the second link also.
Yes, yes. So as I said, a program is something what we offer, a BA program, a BSc program, a UG or a PG program. So collectively, certain courses is what going to be learned under this program based on the number of hours they put in or the number of courses they study. We give them certificates, diplomas, or degrees, keeping in mind the weightage of the work that the students would undertake. A course. What exactly is a course? It is basic. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes. You.
சொல்லிட்டேன் நான் அவர்கிட்ட
I'm not sure if I'm sharing the PPT in the second link that would be visible in the first link.
இல்லப்பா இப்ப ரெண்டுத்துலயுமே வரலப்பா.
Ma'am, can you join back to the first link because there are only 146 participants? Yeah, I think I request all those who have joined the second link, if you all can move to first link, as there are still more number of people who can join.
Up to 250 is possible, sir.
But your screen is not shared here, sir.
program that we offer. Now, in these programs, we offer courses. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So we offer
Sir,
courses.
okay, you are in both the link. You can start continuing.
Thank you for confirmation, sir. So we offer courses under these programs. So a course is a basic unit of education or training. Okay. And collectively, all courses is what we study in a program. So program might have been spread across semesters, 2 semesters, if it's a 1 year, 4 semesters, 6 semesters. So in each semester, there are a number of courses they are going to study. Okay. Now, when we are teaching them a course under a program, we set a curriculum, or what we also call it as syllabus. So this syllabus is an outline of topics covered in an academic course. So every course you will have a designated set of information which you want to pass it on to the students. That is the knowledge basically you want to pass it on. So that outline of those topics is what you call it as a syllabus. Okay. And then we talk about outcomes. What are these outcomes? These are intended results of education in higher educational institution. That is what students are supposed to know and be able to do. I'm offering a course. After studying this course, by the end of the course, what are they able to perform when you ask them to do it is what an outcome is. I've taught them basics of computers. By the end of this particular course, I would expect them, if they can know how to operate a computer, give some data to them, if they can able to enter the data, interpret the data, analyze the data, that means the outcome of that particular course has been achieved. So that is what we look at. Now, these outcomes, further, there are different types. Okay, so and there are also objectives. So let me first talk to you all about the program educational objectives. PEOs is what we call it as. Now, these are broad statements that describe what graduates are expected to attain within few years of graduation. A student have joined a higher education institution for a program. He or she successfully completes that program in 2 years or 3 years time. After completion, in another few years of time, what is this student able to do after completion of the program in another few years is what we call it as the program education objectives. Now, these you're going to be setting with alignment of the vision and the mission of a higher educational institution. As a institution, you might be see our students would be the elements of change. When you say elements of change, after all the knowledge that they have acquired here, the skill that they have acquired here, they start working as employers, or they might become entrepreneurs, and they might be helping through this to the society. So, and what work they are doing, that is you get to see only after a few years. So that is what we call it as the program education objectives. Now, program learning outcomes. What are these program learning outcomes? Now, they represent the knowledge, the skill, and the attitudes a student would possess at the end of the program. Immediately, as soon as a student complete 3-year program or a 2-year program or a 1-year program, what are the or what is the knowledge or the skill the student can demonstrate as soon as the student completes? So that is the program learning outcome. Then you have course learning outcomes. Now, what are these course learning outcomes? These are the outcomes or the knowledge whichever student is expected to gain at the end of the completion of the course. As I just gave you an example of a student learning a course on the basic of computers, and what he or she is able to do at the end of that course is what a course outcome is, or a course learning outcome is. Now, when we write these outcomes, we also write them in alignment of what are called as graduation attributes or graduate attributes. Now, these are set of individually accessible outcomes that are indicative of graduates' potential to acquire competencies in that program. Okay, so when they're taking a program, there are certain graduate attributes which you want to see it in a student. Okay, the whole objective of this entire learning outcome-based curriculum framework is you want every student to be knowledgeable, to be skilled, and by the end of the course, they should be employable. That's the main objective of this. So here we are looking at the graduation attributes. I would talk about those shortly, what exactly those graduation attributes are. Then we talk about assessment. What is assessment? It's the process of collecting, recording, scoring, describing, interpreting information about learning. So I have taught a course, then I would assess a student based on what skills the student would perform. For that, I might have to give them a questionnaire onto which they would answer. I collect, record, score, describe, and interpret the same thing is what we call it as an assessment. Evaluation is the process of making judgments based on evidences and interpretations gathered through examination and assessment on the basis of agreed upon criteria. So you come across these assessments, evaluation. These are some of the terminologies which any teacher would come across during his or her teaching career. Rubrics, this is for assessment or assessment rubric. A rubric for assessment, also called as a scoring guide, is a tool used to interpret and grade students on any kind of work against criteria and standard. Okay, just all of you are familiar with NAC 7 criteria and sub criteria, and for each of the criteria, the questionnaire is given and certain marks are allocated. You give an answer to that particular question, so much score you get it. Then cumulative score is what they do. Something similar again for the students also. You need to have such sort of an rubric to measure how well the student score. Examination is a quantitative measure of learners' performance and is usually held at the end of the academic session or a semester. So you give an examination to see how much a student has learned from whatever you have taught. These are some of the terminologies that I just wanted to introduce you as I take you along with this learning outcome-based education. So all of you know as teachers what a curriculum is. It's, again, I just thought I would just take you through once again, okay? So there's no harm in unlearning and relearning to get our facts correct. So the term curriculum refers to the lessons and academic content taught in a specific course or a program. Okay, so what lessons and the academic content that I'm going to be teaching in a designed program through courses is what we call it as curriculum. That means basically I'm giving them some knowledge and skills, okay, and that with clear defining what learning objectives are, which has to be outcome based. Okay, we teach them small units and lessons under a particular program or under a course, and these at the moment present scenario, we need to make it more student centric. Otherwise, in past or even at present, most of the places it is teacher centric. I design the syllabus as a teacher, I teach the way I would want, and we only expect students to become muggers, like just mug up and then try to write the exam once I give them the question paper. No, the current outcome-based education, or the education that we're talking about through national education policy, we want entire thing to be student-centric. The assignments and the projects given to the students should be problem-based. You teach them the skill, give them a problem with the skills that they have acquired. They should be in a position to tackle that problem or solve that problem. You give them materials supporting to what knowledge and skill, okay, which could be through videos, through presentation, reading material that can be given as research articles and all. Now, all this is to enhance the knowledge of the student, okay? We teachers should be more of a facilitator here, okay? And then you conduct assessments and use different methods to evaluate the student learning, okay? And the curriculum, as autonomous colleges, we have the liberty, flexibility in designing your own curriculum, but again, keeping or aligning with the syllabus that have been framed by the parent university. Affiliated colleges will have to go by whatever syllabus that have been framed by the parent university. Universities per se, they have their own freedom in shaping up their own curriculum. Now, the curriculum that we provide should be rigorous. Okay, so when I say curriculum should be rigorous, it should make heavy demand on the learner. Learner would have come with already some basic knowledge. So from that basic knowledge, you need to be taking them to higher advanced knowledge. You can't again try to teach them all that they know in their 11th, 12th, or in your primary schooling what they've studied. You can't be teaching them. You need to take them, as it is higher education, you need to take them little higher, okay, so that they try to know what exactly is required to make the society better, to make them aware of the problems that they kind of go through as they go along. And then through the education, they have to be looking at how they can try to solve those problems. Try to make your curriculum more multidisciplinary, okay, comprehensive, well defined, okay, and keep updating it periodically as you go along. Sorry. Now, collaboration with institution of eminence. You have designed the curricula. Some might, you might have the required infrastructure and all of that, or you might also might have resources, but for some you might not have resources and the infrastructure. There might be some good expertise in the vicinity colleges and the colleges or the institutions which are of eminence, who has good faculty with a lot of caliber, a lot of ideas and all. You can collaborate with them so that you can also try inculcating or adapting to what those colleges or higher education institutions are doing. So collaborate with them and then try to offer the curriculum for the students in order to make the students better and the best. Okay, and try to look for competence enhancing curricular strategy so that the learner achieve a lot of excellence in the field of their education. Okay, so look at curricular aspects that promote value education. There might be something already there in the curriculum that you have designed. In addition, whatever at the present, there are new scientific technology being improvised and all of that. Try to bring that in through value addition. Add-on courses can be provided in order to make it more value added. Okay, so you can offer full-time or part-time courses. Small modules can be offered, what you call them as the modular courses, and look for course diversification. So the multidisciplinary approach is what I'm talking about, or the interdisciplinary approach is that what I'm talking about. Okay, now having giving you a sort of a little outside information which is required for you to get into what is this outcome-based education, that is the learning outcome-based curriculum framework. So let's try to understand the principle and the process that is involved in the same. Now, what is this outcome-based education? It is to start with a clear picture of what is important for students and be able to do. I, as a faculty, with my other colleagues of the department who offers a particular program, if I have to start framing a curriculum, we need to be very clear as to what is that I should be putting into the curriculum, so that when I instruct this curriculum to them, by the end of 3 years, they are so knowledgeable and skilled and they're able to be doing a particular task when it is given. Okay, so that clarity one should be having when you design a curriculum. So that's why we say outcome-based education, you start with a clear picture. Okay, now once you start with a clear picture, you have offered the curriculum, you have instructed, and you are going to measure what are called as the outcomes. That is, these are the clear learning results that we want students to demonstrate at the end of the significant learning experiences. Okay, so sometime back, I was telling you that the entire thing has to be student-centric. As teachers, what we do is we design the curriculum. We also plan a lot of how to deliver the curriculum. And as you deliver the curriculum, you also design how are you going to assess them. Ensure that there is learning that is happening during all of this process. Okay, so putting it in a nutshell, you design the curriculum. Once you have designed the curriculum, again, it's not an easy job of designing the curriculum. You might have to do a lot of research as to what is the curriculum, what should it include, what is the market outside, how do you make the curriculum more employable for the students once they take it up. So a lot of research has to be going in when you talk about curriculum design. Once you have designed the curriculum, now you need to be thinking, how effectively should I deliver the curriculum? So there has to be a lot of planning that has to go in when you deliver the curriculum. It cannot be monotonous. I'm a teacher, I'm teaching any course the same routine manner. That means it's not going to be of great help. So you need to plan how are you going to execute the same. That is, you have designed the curriculum, how are you going to deliver the curriculum. Now, as I deliver the curriculum, I should also keep in mind I'm delivering this contained, this methodology or pedagogy I'm using, and how am I going to assess it. It can't be the same written assignment or end examination pattern holds good for all the courses that you have taught. Some might be practical oriented, some might be theoretical, some might be of different types. So you need to evolve different assessments methods. There's a lot of planning that has to go again for assessment. Okay, what course and how can I assess so that I really can learn about the skills and the knowledge a student has acquired. Clear? And then whatever data that you have got while assessing, you import the data and see how well you can refine your curriculum again, depending on the feedback. And you are going to measure the attainment. What I have taught, have I attained the same thing? Have a student really learned what is he or she supposed to be learning? Okay, so now we need to be very, very clear. That is, what our students learn depends on how we teach. So finally, everything boils down to the teachers. Okay, so we teachers are the ones who need to be, prepared and be adaptive, flexible, and go along as the things changes. Okay, so we need to know what we are teaching and how we are teaching and how should we be teaching is something very important here. Now, the entire outcome-based education is under the 4 pillars or the 4 basic principles, what was given by Spady in the year 1994. What is the first principle? Clarity of focus. Okay. Second one is designing down. The third one is high expectations. And the fourth one is expanded opportunities. So these are the 4 basic principles. Let's try to shed a little more on these 4 pillars. What is clarity of focus? Now, teachers should focus on helping students to develop knowledge, skills, and personalities. So our job as teachers, when they come in, that is, total focus should be, I'm going to impart certain knowledge and skills in you, and I want to make you as personalities. Okay, so that clarity you should be having as to how should you be doing in passing on the knowledge and skills and make them learn those knowledge and skills so that they become personalities. So that clarity you should be having. So that clarity you should be using in designing the curriculum, delivering the curriculum, and assessing the curriculum. Designing down. That is, once you have that clarity, you start designing. Okay, so it should start with a clear picture, as I said, so that what is that it is there and what is the outcome of what you are offering to the students in a program. What a teacher would be doing is, after designing, instructional decisions. So how should I be instructing so that I achieve the end results? So the designing work has to be done by the faculty again. High expectations. So we need to have high expectations, or we need to set challenging standards. Okay, so try to make the course more rigorous, more challenging, so that students engage themselves in the activity quite deeply, so that learning happens. If you keep it very light, online classes we are conducting, they just log in, and whether they are listening or not listening, you would be talking as I'm just doing the same here. Okay, not showing. So if I have to keep them engaged, my way of teaching here, I should be making it more sort of a workshop. Give you certain assignments in between, ask you to present during the session itself, so you know what they are doing and what they are not doing. So you need to come up with a lot of pedagogy where every now and then you are engaging them in the activities, and so that the learning is happening. Okay, so you need to say that there's a lot of success that they are going to be achieving through the same, and expanded opportunities. So you understand the problems the students would go through, and you also know different types of students you'll be facing, some low learners, some little fast learners. Now accordingly you need to also be careful of, and then try to use different pedagogies, different strategies to teach and to assess these students. Okay, so and try to provide all possible opportunities that you can for the students for making your teaching learning more with more variations or varieties. Okay, yeah. Now, why one should think of moving to this outcome-based education? Okay. Now, this pyramid, learning pyramid, would help you to understand that. So, I'm giving sort of a lecture. You all are listening to me. What amount of retention is happening? 5%. Clear? So, if I had made you read something and asked you to reflect back on it, then the retention would have been 10%. Audiovisual, I am trying to present myself with a lot of images and all of that. I'm talking to you all of that, and might be I'm articulating it a little better. So you're glued to what I'm talking to. So there is good amount of retention that is happening. Okay, but now with this session, there might be only 20% of retention. But if I further, as in workshop, I would take you along and make you all, take a syllabus, try to write what is a course outcome, what is a program specific outcome, program outcome. Then you start, I demonstrate, you learn, and then later you work on it. So there is more and more engagement that's going to happen. So what you need to be also doing is you need to move from this just board and talk, or now PPT and talk, to that of giving them to read, giving them certain videos to reflect on. You demonstrate certain things to them, get them into groups and go for discussion, and then later they practice also in whatever they have done. So here, as you see, the more intense the activities are, the more retention of the knowledge and the skills is going to happen. So we need to be moving from the passive teaching methods to that of the cooperative learning methods. Clear? So that's the reason as to why we need to look at this outcome-based education a little more carefully, and use this in your day-to-day teaching to make our higher education much more meaningful. Okay, so now what are the strategies that one needs to follow? Append existing framework. You take time, know what you're all doing. Okay, what course you are teaching, what program you're teaching, how are students faring at the moment. You look at it and then see what newness you need to bring in, and you append the existing framework. When you are designing the curriculum, you design in such a way that there has to be a lot of space for innovation, that is in teaching as well as learning. So that amount of flexibility you should leave it, because not all courses can be taught the way you think. Okay, so every course needs some sort of its own design for teaching. Okay. Pedagogy. So the pedagogy is a way of how you sort of teach a particular course and assess a particular course, and make it more interactive, supportive, challenging, and rewarding. Okay, and then the third one is strengthen the resources. Okay, so when you say I have to use a pedagogy, there might be requirement of a lot of resources, and you need to be aware of, and then try to look for the same. And also you might need a lot of resourceful people in order to pass on that piece of information. So look for significant expertise, or you upgrade yourself by learning new things which are required to teach the students. And also what you can also start sharing and learning from each other. So that is something that has to be done. And the fourth thing is you try to enhance your curricula by including a lot of ICT, because that's what at the moment the need of the day is, digital and to the curriculum. Okay. As I go along, I just want to confirm if I'm clear to all of you.
Yes, sir. You are clear, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much clear, sir. Very much
Thank
clear.
you. Thank you for confirming. Yeah. Okay. So now at the same time, we are teaching, and we need to also be aware of our learner. Okay, the final thing is our students to us. Okay, I need to know what a student is, where is he or she coming from, what facilities do they have, so can I use this pedagogy so that they also become a part of this pedagogy. So I can go for hi-fi stuff, but if they can't afford to be a part of that, there is no meaning in it. So I need to be aware of the learner. Okay, what is that awareness? Relevance, resource availability, learning style. The style that I'm following, are students able to follow me? The resources, if I want, okay, now with the online teaching, at least a smartphone with little internet connectivity for me to engage them in a particular activity. Okay, if I want to do online some sort of Google sheet based quizzes and all of that, that means they should have internet, and also they need to be literate about how to use the smartphones and all of that. So be aware of all of those when you are teaching them. And the relevance, is it really required, or you have another alternative which you can use it? So that you need to be aware of. Now here, as a teacher, I need to be facilitator. I can't be dictating them and be authoritative there. You just need to allow the process to go on, to facilitate the process. Clear? Build in lot of collaboration. I, as a teacher, should collaborate with the student. Okay, then I give lot of content to the student to learn. The student should collaborate with the content that I share for him or her to read, go through, and all of that. Now once they have understood those, they can share that content with the other students, so there can be a peer group that can be happening. So a lot of collaboration you need to be building within the class. Now, you could use in the ICT technology, there are a lot of professional learning communities. That now one of the tool that we are using here, or one of the platform that we are using here, is the Google Meet. So like that, you have so many learning communities that are there, which are freely available, that can be explored. Okay, you can pass on information through mails, through discussion boards, through Google Forms. There are audios, you can make it and share it across, videos you can make it and share it across, podcast, okay, conference calls. There are a lot of avenues you can explore, whichever suits the best for your teaching. Clear? And you need to also constantly keep taking feedback, and you be a reflective practitioner. Okay, don't be a dictator or authoritative, as I told you something. So if something is not well, change it and go for another one. Be experimental in your approach as you go along. Okay, now let's talk about the process. Now, when you talk about the process, a terminology comes in, which is constructive alignment, which was by Professor John Biggs, that was given in the year 1999. What exactly constructive alignment? So there are two people that are involved in this teaching process. I, as a teacher, and a student who want to gather that knowledge. Clear? So between these two, the teacher and the student, I, as a teacher, is going to just conduct relevant learning activities. Whereas a student, with what activities I conduct, has to construct meaning out of it. Clear? A student who is going to construct meaning of what I teach, of what activities I conduct. So merging these, we say it is constructive alignment. I align. I'm following a course. I teach accordingly, aligning the course and bring this to the students, and student is going to construct a meaning out of it. So this is what is called as constructive alignment. So collaboration, when I'm talking about between a teacher and a student, so this is why a collaboration is required. So I need to be clear what I'm teaching. Student should be clear as to what I'm being taught, and I make a meaning out of it. And I as a teacher would, student would make a meaning, teacher would construct it, and we align it, and then you have this constructive alignment. So alignment aspect refers to what teachers does, okay, and the construction of the meaning is by the students. So mainly you are looking at the teaching methods used and the assessment task, which I align as a teacher for the students, so that the learning activities are happening and you would get whatever that you are achieving. Okay, so now this learning outcomes, There are different types of courses that we teach. Some of them are disciplinary knowledge and skills is what we teach. Generic, students also need some basic skills like communication or, even certain skills about the computers, basic foundation and all that, which we normally teach as a generic skills. And then we also need to inculcate a lot of values and attitude in the students. So all of this is required for a holistic development of a student. It is not only knowledge and skill, but they need to also know the basic communication, the basic, attitude and the values those students should have in them. So you'll be aware of what all should be there in a program when you are designing a program, and follow certain guidelines for effective ILO statements, that you are going to write certain intended learning outcome statements. Okay, so when you're writing the outcomes, you need to keep in mind that you as a teacher are going to do this, and it is for a performer, and who's going to be the student. So when you are writing the curriculum and when you are assessing the students, you should be providing something for the students for them to demonstrate, so that what they demonstrate, you are in a position to assess. Okay, it can't be arbitrarily done, but you need to do a lot of thinking as to what should I give it so that I can assess when the student demonstrate. Okay, the focus should be on the performance. Okay, how the performance that the student is being done. Okay, and not the activity or the task performed. I was talking to you about the graduation attribute. There are many more. I've just picked up very important graduation attributes which we need to align when we are writing the COs, POs, and the PSOs. What the first one is academic excellence. Any program that we offer to the students, we want a student to excel in the academics. So you need to ensure that academic excellence is achieved. Second, the education should be broad-based. That's the main objective again of the National Education Policy. Have a broad-based education, multidisciplinary, so that students can move from one to another field easily without any sort of issues. Okay, and third, competencies and capacity building. So we want to make them more and more skilled and employable. So you need to enhance their capacities or competencies. Very important. So that has to be there. Then leadership and teamwork. So any work they have to, any problem that they come across, they should be leaders where they can take initiatives, build a team, and work along with to address those problems. So you need to also focus on leadership and the teamwork. Their international outlook. So they can't be only looking at the regional problems that they are facing. They need to move to the state, national, and the global. So, and also they need to be competitive, and the education that they have acquired here when they go abroad or other states, they need to be competent with the other people. Okay, so that international outlook should be there. And then vision orientations towards the future. Okay, so it's not like only live in the present, because we were living in the present. Now suddenly we are stuck with this pandemic. Now we are trying to see what best we can do it so that our future becomes sort of better. So everyone should be, be visionary and orient themselves towards the future. Okay, and also have ethical standards and compassion. Know what is right, what is wrong, and be compassionate to the people around you, the society around you. Okay, and that is these are some of the graduation attributes that you would want to have it in a student. So this also should be a part of your outcomes when you are writing your outcomes. Okay, you need to be aligning these graduation outcomes with that of the other outcomes that you are going to be writing. Now, I've just given you a little brief idea about what these. I would take you through once again, because these are something that you need to become more and more familiar. So you have program educational outcomes. What are these program educational outcomes? These are statements that describes institution's mission aligned with the program. Okay, so every higher education institution that you are a part of, or a university that you're a part of, they have their own vision and a mission statement. Look at those mission statements. You try to align those mission statements with what you want a student to do after the program in a couple of years, or subsequently in a few years. So that is what we call it as the program educational outcomes. These are the objectives or the outcomes. Okay. Now, program outcomes. What are these program outcomes? These are statements that describe what the student graduating from any of the educational programs should be able to do. That is, after end of the program, BA program 3 years, as soon as 3 years is over, what is he or she able to do? Okay, is the program outcomes. Specific outcomes are statements that describe what graduates of a specific educational program. Okay, program outcome, program specific. The difference here is one is going to be more for the specialized programs, one is for a general program. But both are what they are able to do as soon as they graduate. Course outcomes. These are statements that describe what students should be able to do at the end of the course. At the end of every course, what are they able to be doing? What are these? Little more clarity on PEOs. These are the broad statements that describe career and professional accomplishment that the program is preparing the graduates to achieve, but this should be consistent or aligned with the mission of the institution. So when you're writing PEOs, you need to write it in such a way that the mission statements are very well reflected in the PEOs. Okay, the number of PEOs should be manageable, right? As small number as possible, because what you're writing, you need to also be managing it or achieving it. Okay, if you cannot achieve, there is no point in you writing it. You know, we can't simply just write big things which we cannot achieve it. Write something that is manageable, okay, which is achievable, very important. And you be very, very specific and not too broad when you're writing them. Those are program educational outcomes, POs. Now, these are narrow statements that is compared to that of the program educational outcomes. Okay, that is, you know, what they are able to do by the time of the graduation. Now, guidelines for the program, that is, program's outcome basically describes knowledge, skills, and behavior of students as they progress through the program as well as by the time of the graduation. So what skills they can acquire, what behavior, knowledge they can acquire at the end of the 3 years. Now, they should not be too broad. And as I just told you, that they, the graduation attributes that I said, now they should align along with it. And in the entire program that they have designed, it should, the graduation attribute should be reflected. Course outcomes. Now, PEOs and POs are the major outcomes. Course outcomes are micro-level outcomes. Every course of study or a semester might have 4 to 6 outcomes called course outcomes. Again, this number 4 to 6, but manageable for you all to do it. So every paper, we normally say I'm teaching this paper. Each paper is like a course. Okay, for that you're writing the outcomes. So then they become the course outcomes, and they are at a smaller level. So you can write around 4 to 6 outcomes for a particular course. Now, each course outcome refers to specific attainable and measurable qualities. So every paper, there are certain things that you need to be attaining. Okay, so what you are writing it down. Each PO is to be attained by attaining a set of COs through different courses. Okay, so each course might have written a certain course outcomes. If you attained certain COs in a PO, that means that PO has been attained. For you to achieve one PO, several COs might have to be attained. So if those COs have been attained, one PO might be over. For example, for a BA program, for the entire 6th semester, you might have written some 10 POs. Clear? Now, for you to attain those 10 POs, PO1, if you have to attain PO1 in the 6th semester courses, some course outcomes, if you attain, then you might have attained one program outcome. 1. Like that, program outcome 2. Again, after attaining certain course outcomes in all 6 semesters, you might be able to attain program outcome 2. So like that, if you attain all of these course outcomes, by the end, you would have attained all the program outcomes what you have written. Okay. So to assure the attainment of the POs, COs should be carefully written, delivered, assessed, and evaluated. Only if you can write them well, deliver it, assess and evaluate, then you can say that if these are attained, then you can also attain the POs, that is the program outcomes. Clear? So how to implement this OBA framework in your institution? First, as I told you, assess your curriculum at the moment and look at what are the needs, what changes that you need to bring in your curriculum. Clear? Then you start revising your curriculum, and then you define what outcomes you want the students to attain by the end of the course, that is course outcome, by the end of the program outcomes, by the end after another 2-3 years, which is the program educational outcomes. Clear? Once you have designed it, then you also prepare the instructions. How are you going to deliver the instructions? Then once you have given the instructions, then you assess and then start mapping the outcomes. Okay, and you try to learn from the assessments as to what you have achieved, the results, and then also take the feedback and get into the continuous evaluation process. Clear? So one example I would give you of a PO. Okay, now here on successful completion of a program, write a name of the program. Graduate will be able to use this action verb and an activity. Example, a graduate of this program will be able to effectively evaluate research designs, methods, and conclusion is one PO. Okay, for a program like English, for example, you have BA English, so you're writing this. Okay, a graduate of this program will be able to effectively evaluate research designs, methods, and conclusion. Example 1. Example 2. Graduates of this program will be able to assess their own strengths, weaknesses, and omissions, and be able to adjust further performance in the light of their self-assessments. Example 3. Graduates of this program will be able to effectively communicate both formally and informally through speaking. These are the examples. Okay, depending on your programs, you are going to look at and then write those POs. Now, if you're writing COs, again, for a course, technical English is a course, you are writing COs. How can they be written? CO1, comprehend the technical jargon and define technical applications, is what you want to be attaining while you're teaching this technical English. Course outcome 1. Course outcome 2. Exhibit practical proficiency in reading and writing skills. I can read well, I can write well after I've taken up this course. And if a teacher assesses me how I read, how I write, that means I have attained my course outcome 2. Course outcome 3. Apply and analyze the technical and general communication. So I'm good at my general communication. The course have taught me general communication. I know the technicality of the same. If I start, writing some research article or write a scientific article or any article well, and someone can read it and they can understand it well, that means I've also attained my CO3. Okay, so through a course you're teaching something, and then you are checking if they have learned that or not. Okay, so if you're able to assess those, that means you have attained those COs for that particular course. Now you have written a PO. Now, if one of the course outcome reflects or aligned for that PO, if the student has attained this, that means not one, a couple of them, then a program outcome partly has been attained. So like that, if the student have attained all the COs, then they can attain all the POs. Clear? Now, while writing these COs, POs, we need to use appropriate action verb. Okay, so that we are going to be understanding now how well can we be doing that. Okay, so in the process of writing learning outcomes, the curriculum team, that is whoever is going to sit and work, so they are going to make use of these action verb to write these assessments. And where are these action verbs coming from? It's coming from this, what is called as the Bloom's taxonomy. So here, Bloom's taxonomy, it is going to make us help the different levels of learning. Sometime back in the pyramid I was talking to you all about, what we are teaching them is more through board chalk or lectures, where amount of learning that's happening is only, listening, memory, low level. Okay, but if you want to take them to a little higher level, ordered thinking, that means you'll have to look at this Bloom's taxonomy and follow up the low level order to that of the higher level order. Okay, Bloom's taxonomy. Benjamin Bloom was the person who was an educator. He devised this levels of taxonomy, 3 levels of taxonomy, where they talk about the cognitive, that is knowledge acquisition, how they can comprehend, and then critical thinking, which is testing more of the cognitive ability, then affective, that is their behavior, their attitude, their emotions, feelings, affective domain, and the third one is the psychomotor domain, which is skill-based learning. Okay, so these are the 3 different domains of learning. And as I said, when you are teaching students in a class, board, chalk, and all of that, out of on to them, they would listen to you, they would try to understand. Okay, first thing they would try to do is they remember. They try to this is the older Bloom's taxonomy, which was revised, where older it was knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, evaluation. Now they have been instead of knowledge, they say remembering. So when I'm teaching, students try to remember, and the next level is they try to understand. Once they have understood what you have taught them, they start applying into their day-to-day life, or wherever the problem arises, they start applying. Once they apply, you get certain results, then they learn how to analyze it. I applied it on this. It gave me results on one, not on the another. I'm in a position to analyze that. Once I've analyzed that, I would come to certain conclusions, and I can evaluate that particular process. Now, based on that, I start creating my own. Okay, this didn't work on this, so let me now devise something new, creative. So now we want students from this low-level learning to become more creators. We want students to be knowledge generators, knowledge creators, not knowledge assimilators. If you want them to be knowledge assimilators, they would be only in the remembering and the understanding. We want students to become more and more creators, knowledge creators. So hence you need to scale up to this particular cadre, so that students are becoming more and more creators. So the course that you're going to design, the course that you are going to assess, you should include all these 6 level components, so that you measure them at the remembering, understanding, but also see if they can apply, they can analyze, they can evaluate, and then create. So hence it is required for you to understand this Bloom's taxonomy, and while writing your outcomes, you need to be writing based on, if remembering, what action verbs can be used, if it is for understanding, what can be used, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and create. Clear? So this is what you're going to make use of, and you can start writing the outcomes. Okay, writing which is going to be achieved by the students when you teach and assess. Clear? So assessment refers to the wide variety of methods or tools that educators use to evaluate, measure, and document the academic readiness, learning process, skill acquisition, or educational needs of the student. So when I say I'm assessing, I'm basically measuring how much they have learned, and I document that to measure their progress. Okay, there are different types of assessments. One is diagnostic, formative, summative, norm-referenced, criterion referenced, and then interim benchmark. So let's take a look at what is this diagnostic assessment. A new set of students have joined your institution for a program. Right on the day 1, when you're interacting with them, you assessing them to know how much knowledge they already have. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What knowledge and skill they are coming to your program that they have admitted to. If you assess them, that sort of an assessment is what is called as diagnostic assessment. So you get to know what are the set of students that you're getting, so that you can build on to them depending on your program requirement. So you get a baseline to start working from. Formative assesses a student's performance during instruction. As I'm talking to you all about now, in between, I want to assess about how effective is this particular session. Then in between, I can stop and ask you, are you following is what I'm asking. Certain things like to know if you have understood what I've explained. So what you do in between is what you call as the formative assessment. Now online, I just have taught them for 10-15 minutes. I just shared one quiz question before them. If they answer it well, all of them answer, that means I get a feeling that they've understood well, and I can also use that for their assessment as well. So what you do in between a session is what you call it as the formative assessment. Clear? And summative is measure students' achievement at the end of the instructions, after completing the instruction, or also of a particular course completion. When you conduct the assessment, you call it as the summative assessment. Norm reference assessment compares a student's performance against other students. That is, there might be certain low learners, mediocre, and higher. So when you are comparing one with that of the another, or it can be also one set of students with that of the other set of students. Criterion reference, so based on the criteria you are measuring them, measures a student's performance against a goal, specific objective, or a standard. Clear? Interim or benchmark assessment evaluates student performance at periodic intervals, frequently at the end of a grading period. That is like a semester, after every semester, and then together you cumulative, and then you provide the summative assessment. Can predict students' performance on end of the year summative assessments. Another way to think about it. Okay, you can represent a bar graph. Semester 1, how did they score? 2, how did they score? 3, so you can look at it. Okay. Choosing an appropriate tool that is for you to assessment. Now you design assessment methods which can be aligned with the overall program. I have CO1, how do I assess that? CO2, how do I assess that? CO3, how do I assess that? Okay, so you need to define assessment methods. Ensure that the designing accounts for any requirements set by professional bodies. When you're designing this, you might have to call for a committee meeting where people might give you a lot of ideas, suggestions, and all of that, and keep them in the loop as you go along with the same. See that your assessment tasks are aligned with the stated learning outcomes. So your assessments should totally get aligned. Okay, so you can't teach them on a low level and ask them the questions at the creative level. Clear? I'm teaching only for them to remember and understand, but I'm asking questions at the creation level, which is not correct. Okay, so your assessment should also match along with it. So if you have taught them to that level, also assess them to that level. Use assessment methods that best measure achievements of the stated learning outcome, and also look for assessment. You just one department is following, don't follow the same thing again, because it might hold good for that particular program, for that particular course, might not hold good for another. So be very choosy in what you use the technique for assessment. Clear? Now be fair in how much you ask for students and how much value you assign for each task. Okay, depending on is it a kind of if I'm just asking one quiz after teaching, it's a sort of a low level activity. So be fair in providing the same. You can't conduct small little activities and give them a little higher value for the same. Okay. A variety of assessments method is employed so that the limitations of particular methods are minimized. Okay. Now, one assessment might have its positives and negatives. Clear? Now, if there are more negatives, that means it's not well taken. So you can conduct 4 to 5 different types of assessment, average it out so that you take care of all sort of students and all different lacunas if there are there in the assessment process. Okay, so there is a provision for students' choice in assessment task and weighting at certain time possible. You can also have 4 different types of assessment. Ask students which assessment should they want to be a part with, but try to ensure that each one is more rigorous than the another. Some might be very good at writing, some might be very good at speaking. So one can be given writing, one can be given speaking, depending on their sort of a domain. One of them where each one can fare well in whatever they do. Clear? Okay. What are the assessment activities that you can do for if you're testing if they have remembered whatever you have taught? Quiz. If you want to check if they've understood the concept of seminar or a presentation, if you want them to know if they're applying what they've studied, ask them to demonstrate certain concepts or a technical presentation. Now, if you want to measure if they can apply and evaluate, a group task can be given where they can collectively do some application-based run, evaluate the data, and then they can present it. And a project work can be given for them to create certain. So there are different assessments which you can use it and overall assess all of them and give them the grades required for the same. Clear? So what are the focus and benefits of the outcome-based education? Okay, first thing is, now it addresses the following question. What is that? Now, it becomes very clear as to what do we want students to have or able to do. So I'm clear that what is that students should be doing. Clear? And we would be helping the students to achieve it. Clear? So we know that, whether students have achieved it or not when we assess them. And if at all there is any sort of lacunae, we can work off them and we can get into the continuous quality improvement. What are the benefits of outcome-based education? It is more direct and coherent curriculum. It becomes more structured and with a lot of meaning in it. Clear? Now, graduation, once you complete this task, they are more relevant to industry and other stakeholders, because we want them to be more employable, more research oriented. Okay. And as there's continuous quality improvement in place, it helps us to revise the curriculum as and when there is a requirement. Clear? So in your outcome-based education, you need to say what you want. You need to do what you say. You need to prove it, and you need to improve on it. Clear? Get into this cycle, and you are going to achieve what you would want. So once you have all in place, when are you going to assess a program educational objective? Is after a student has graduated. It might take a few years for them to exhibit whatever the attributes that a student have acquired during the program. When are you measuring the program outcomes? Upon graduation. As soon as the student completes the graduation, they are able to attain that. When are they going to attain the course outcomes? It is when they complete a particular course. Clear? So now, what is the importance again? So all the colleges who are a part of, who have taken part in the NAC or who are going to take part in the NAC, there are questions that you would come across in criteria 1 and 2 about if their curriculum that they have developed or adopted has relevance to the local, national, regional, global development needs. Clear? And have they also included these program outcomes, specific outcomes, course outcomes? Okay. So where you're writing, you need to say that yes, our courses outcome-based education based, and then we have written all of these. Clear? And then in the criteria 2, teaching, learning, evaluation, they ask program outcomes, specific outcomes, course outcomes for all programs offered by institutions are stated and displayed on the website and communicated to the teachers and the students, because students who come are more clear, because you already have given the outcome as to what would this course would be helpful for a student, so they are more prepared to take up such programs. Then attainment of program outcomes, program specific outcomes, and course outcomes are evaluated by the institution. So once you follow this process, you need to also attainment. So if you have looked at the attainment levels or not, so this is what is going to help you out. Clear? So these are some of the examples of attaining the program outcome. So this program outcome 1, you say you have attained it if you have attained this course outcomes in semester 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so it is spread across in the semesters or in different papers rather. Okay, these are discipline specific core papers. So in one of the core paper, there is one outcome. If you have attained that outcome, that means partly you have attained program outcome 1. So if you have attained all the 4 after all these 4 papers are over, that means this program outcome 1 has been attained. So like that you measure the attainment. So these are the discipline specific elective courses. Then you have skill enhancement courses. So like that you can measure all of these. Okay, so what I would like to conclude with this outcome-based education is it's a very positive strategy which has been put forth before all of us, for us to look at it, for us to critically analyze our current functioning of a program, and then redesign accordingly, so that by the end of this particular program, students are really employable as they have acquired the required skills and the knowledge. Okay, so thank you all for your patient listening. I'll be happy if you all have any sort of queries. Please put forth for me. I'm able to answer the same, I would be glad doing this.
Sir, I have posted the queries on the chat box.
Sure, Mr. Ganapati sir, please. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think you will be very happy in answering one or two questions from every participant. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I request the participants to unmute their mic and ask your questions. You wait for the resource persons to complete the answer, and the next participant can unmute again, and you can pose your questions. At the end of the session, sir will be able to answer a couple of questions from the chat box. After that, we will have a concluding session. In another 10 minutes or 5 minutes, you will be answering the questions. Please, participants, you can pose your questions.
So, good afternoon, sir. This is from Dr. A.M. Saravanan from Muthurangam Government Arts College.
Yes, sir.
My question is, so while defining the program learning outcome and program learning objective, we are having different courses actually. We are having some elective courses, open elective courses, and allied courses. So, how to integrate those course outcomes into program learning outcomes? So, we are concentrating only the major courses. But what about the allied courses and other open elective courses? How to incorporate those things?
Okay, so now first you can collectively first write the program outcomes. Okay, so whatever program that you mentioned, if you have written say some 6 to 10 program outcomes, then every course that you are offering, that course you are writing the course outcomes. Okay, now once you've written the course outcomes, you need to see that this program outcome, if whatever you have said, where it is going to be attained. So if several course outcomes are written in a tabulated form, and if that is being attained, that means that program outcome has been attained. So irrespective of whatever courses you're offering, every courses, whether it is like a core paper or is it like an elective paper, you need to be writing the course outcomes for all of those. So these course outcomes will be reflecting obviously in the program outcome. So if it's reflecting, it comes under a particular program outcome. If this is attained, then you can put a tick that one particular program outcome has been attained.
I think that
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. M. Saravanan.
Yes, sir.
Muthurangam Government Arts College.
Yes, sir.
Sir, actually, in new education policy, it is based on the student-centric. So,
yes.
Creating PO and CEO like that, can it a helpful new education policy?
So see, you need to wait for the structure from each of your university, which would be provided for you to be working on based on the new education policy. One. Second thing is, now when you say outcome, whether it is new education policy or even if you're following the current syllabus, outcomes are something which are to be attained. Here, what might be changed under the new education policy is the overall structure. Okay, 1-year program, 2-year program, 3-year program, 4-year program. Okay, now in each of the programs, whatever you're saying, every program will have certain courses. So in that course, what can be attained, and as a program, what can be attained, there's not going to be a change in that particular structure itself.
Okay, sir. But based on the student, it may vary, sir. Am I right? Because it is a student-centric. So how can we formulate the general PO?
This outcome-based education is also student-centric, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
This is Mayank.
Yes, Mayank.
Sir, Bloom's taxonomy is widely discussed topic, sir.
Yes.
Is it mandatory that only Bloom's taxonomy should be used for defining outcomes?
There is no mandatory as such, but it gives a lot of clarity when you are trying to assess the students. Now, if you go back and look at one of your question paper that you might have set, check that, what is the level of that question paper that you have set for the students. Now, has it answered anything where a student can answer a sort of creative level or evaluative level and all of that? If it is not there, that means we are teaching them at a very low level. So again, just because it's there, I'm not saying that you go set a question paper on Bloom's taxonomy, but you also might have taught that way for you to ask them those sort of questions in that particular manner.
Okay.
So it's not mandatory that you'll have to use Bloom's taxonomy. If there are different levels defining, you could also use it.
Okay.
Sir,
Syed,
Sir?
because of assessment is the main thing here. So
Correct.
is it tough task from the part of teachers to assess every student individually, class size of 60 or more? Yes,
it might be
the curriculum is framed for the completion within time frame. So
Yeah,
how
see,
could it be managed along with normal?
it is a tougher task, okay, because this entire outcome-based education is going to be quite rigorous again on the faculty, because a lot of following up has to be done, a lot of designing has to be done, and now my personal suggestion, as I'm also into teaching for a few years, the curriculum that we are offering in the first slide, I said append your existing curriculum. When I say append your existing curriculum, you might have designed your curriculum 60 hours, you might have put or 50 hours for 4 credit paper. Now look at all that and see, is it really required so much of the information there? Now, if possible, condense. When I say condense, be very, very specific. What is very important of that? And that if you can teach them more effectively, more creatively, then attaining your assessment becomes much more easier. Okay, it becomes more realistic. But if you have too much of stuff and then you're not able to teach properly, then obviously your attainment towards the end also is going to be suffer. Yeah, there are softwares that are available where you just have to design the structure, and as whatever the scoring, if you start feeding into your that software will help you to tell you whether they have attained that particular attainment or not, what is the percentage of attainment, all that is going to be there. So hence you need to also make ICT technology to help that out.
Dr. Syed, I have
Sir,
posted some
Punita.
comments in chat box. Can you please look at the chat box?
Sure, sir, sure.
Okay.
We'll go into that. Before that, there is one very important question posed by Mrs. D. Shopna, St. Joseph University, Dimapur, Nagaland, sir. We'll be very happy, sir, on behalf of every participant. Her question is, on this pandemic situation, especially in online classes, could you please suggest some best practices to motivate the students to get involved and to learn enthusiastically along with the syllabus?
Okay, sir. So, yeah, good questions. I know it's a task for us to, deal with our day-to-day classes during the pandemic. Now, the best thing that, I might have followed, my colleagues might have followed in our college, what we have done is, first thing is, all our faculty were trained to using this particular ICT-enabled technology. There are different platforms, as I told you. There are different also tools that they are there. So you can make use of all of them, and your teaching would become the better and the best. Okay. For example, today I have scheduled one class of 60 minutes. So in that 60 minutes, well before I start the class, if I'm using any of the platform, I might have shared some material, whatever discussion that I'm doing a week before or a day before or 3 days before. Ask students to go through that particular content. Then you say that I'm going to deliberate it on that particular content. So I start deliberating on that. Clear? And then after say 15-20 minutes, I can conduct a short sort of a quiz based on whatever I propose it. There itself, being online, I can share a Google Sheet, which I would have prepared, and I would send it across so you could see. There are, and at the same time, also you can get the responses. There are the softwares. You can get the responses from the students if they've understood or not. So if you can involve, a blended mode of learning. Blended is which happens both online and offline. So activities that you're giving them for them to read and come prepared for a class, and then you carrying out certain activities like group presentations or quizzes and all of that. Blended way, if you do it, it's going to be more engaging for the students. Only thing, creatively, you need to be planning all of these. I'm not sure if I've answered your question. Yeah.
Sir, I'm Punita from JJ College, Pudukkottai, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, apart from Bloom's taxonomy, I need some more clarification to measure the outcomes of the course, sir.
Now, Bloom's taxonomy is a very
one way. Another way. How can we measure the outcomes of the course?
How am I measuring the outcome of the course? I have taught a particular course, okay?
Yes.
And it's a skill that I have taught. I gave example sometime back, like, say I'm teaching them basic computers, okay? I've taught them some component of the basic computers. And soon after that, I can just give them a sort of a work online itself. Are you able to collect some information from the net and put them in a tabulated form and then try to get the gist out of it? And once they complete that assignment, I would assess that and give the marks. This is one level. So like that, you can design your activities where you're giving them the task after teaching and then assessing.
Practically,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So now if they're just, if you're giving a quiz, as I told you, it's level 1 of remembering. Ask them just to give them a question and say something about this. They can say something about that, only they have understood that. Okay, so like that, you have to evolve certain assessment methods.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
I think this answer would be same for the other question posed by Maureen Prashetra.
Yeah. I got it, but still I need some more clarification. So only I ask this question.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining.
Okay.
Sir, before we conclude, Mr. Venkat Ganapati of Bangalore, he has. He's actually very much interested in talking to you. I think you don't mind in contacting personally.
Yeah, please. I think I might have shared my number in the covering slide and my mail ID too.
Yeah. One more question from the chat box. It becomes essential to deal with the basics in the department because the number of undergraduate courses are increased. How can this be addressed, especially with respect to attainment of course outcomes against the learners?
Sorry, sir, I missed that question. Could you?
I will repeat it. See, there are increase in the undergraduate courses with the different names and different programs and all. One is Shaikh has posed this question. It becomes essential to deal with the basics in the department. How can this be addressed, especially with respect to attainment of course outcomes among the learners?
Okay. See, as a teacher, I feel it's each one of a responsibility. It's not only to just teach and leave it there, but we need to also know what we have teach, have the students learned or not. Now, if you have to know whether students have learned or not, you are assessing. Now, how are you assessing? Unless and until you have not given any parameters to measure, you can't say that you have achieved it. So hence, this entire outcome-based education is one, you have designed the course. Second, you have written these outcomes, okay? And third one is your attainment. Attainment is the assessment what you have done. If that assessment tells this course outcome has been completed, it can be done. Just 2 days ago, I had been to a college for academic audit, okay? And their PG program, there were some around 20 students for one particular PG program, and they follow this outcome-based education. And what I've seen there is 20 students, all 20 students are mapped, and all of them have gone for higher education, that is for PhD program. Okay. Now that was one of very good achievement that I could see of that college and of that department. Now, very meticulously they have done this. It's all done manually, though I said there is software also available, but there is some amount of time the faculty has to spend on this, as I told you. but it's going to be a real good task for you to really help the students to achieve their goals and ambitions. It gives more clarity for the students. Students also become more and more alert about what is there and how are you going to teach them, how are you going to assess them. So all this clarity, once you give it, your job becomes much more easier. I know it is a task, but again, the management might have to pitch in and look at your sort of workload, how much of the workload goes in sort of designing, assessing and all of that, and give accordingly the workload so that all of you are not overburdened with the same, and at the same time you're able to do the task. So there might be some help of the clerical staff can be given, or some help of the ERP people, the software based facilities. If that is given, then the job becomes much more easy.
Yes, sir. One final question, sir. It is from Mrs. Jayanti Kanagaraj. Regarding graduate attributes, is there any standard model of prescribed attributes for arts and science colleges?
Sorry, sir.
I will repeat it.
Yeah.
Regarding graduate attributes, is there any standard model or prescribed attributes for arts and science colleges?
That is one of the lacunae that we have at the moment. Okay, UGC has given a sort of framework. If you go to the UGC website, you might come across it's for single honors for certain programs that they have given. But again, see, there is no hard and fast rule that you need to have some sort of a strict platform, table and all of that. Now, you all can design on your own. It's a simple thing that has to be done. A tabular column where you have written your POs, okay? And then if you have to attain this PO, what CO? And to attain that CO, if you are conducting an assessment, that assessment, let me see if the simple... am I still sharing the screen with you all? No.
Yes, sir. You are at the screen.
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, on this I'm not sharing, I guess. Let me see. I included one slide. Okay. Can you see the slide, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is one of the thing that you could do. This is not a table, but it's just like a process of assessment attainment. So you define the course. Okay. After you have defined the course, you set direct measures. That is, write survey questions. So if I'm going to ask a question for a course this way, what level it's being assessed, and against that you can give a particular score, 1 to 5. A students get say 100 on 100, 5 marks. Okay, get some 80, then say 4 marks. So you can give a sort of a score there, and then what you do is you define the performance. You start with the performance, and you select the instrument. What sort of assessment? Is it a quiz, or is it a written exam, or a survey, or a presentation? You can decide on that. Okay. Now keep in mind that it's not only the end course examination what you are looking at as a course attainment. It is all your continuous internal assessment activity and the end semester. All of these have to be channelized in such a way for you to generate the student survey, that is to get all the data, and which you're going to analyze the data. Okay, so if that you could do it here, as you see, I said you list out the program outcomes. Now, this program outcome would be attained by several course outcomes. So those course outcomes is what you are writing here. Okay, so in one of the semester in this paper, one course outcome is written here. So if this course outcome is attained, that means partly this program outcome is attained. So you have to prepare for this entire syllabus there. Okay, if you could do that, it's going to be good there. I will see if any material that I have it with me, I can share it with the organizers, so you can pass it on to the rest of them.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Ganapati, Venkat Ganapati, I think you'll be really happy that the resource person himself said he will share everything with us. at once when we receive the materials, we will send it immediately. Right.
Sir,
Thank you very
sir, please
Yeah.
can you give the contact number and email ID, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We'll put it in the chat box.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You can always contact him. He is ready to answer either
I've
through
typed.
WhatsApp
I've
or
t-
through email, or you can even call him or phone. He's such a nice person.
I've typed my phone number and the mail ID in the chat box. Yeah.
Right, you can. Right, sir. It's time for us to conclude. Thank you very much, sir. And no words to express. It is an out-of-world experience, a remarkable and most memorable day for every participant, especially for all the teachers, teaching community from our college. The presentation went on in a highly coherent manner. Every one of us can easily follow the content because of your very simple and beautiful language. Now, after attending this, we are sure that every one of us get cleared, and we are now, when we seek for designing a curriculum for any program, irrespective of the science or arts or management or anything, the teacher will be able to write objective guidelines to program education outcomes, program-specific outcomes, especially the resource persons have clearly explained the difference between the program outcomes and program-specific outcomes, and then the course outcomes also. He explained everything, the PEOs, POs, TSOs, COs, with suitable examples so that every one of us can easily follow. So we believe this FDP will be highly helpful to every teacher who seeks for designing a curriculum for the program he is associated with. So as one of the participants rightly mentioned, the new education policy is going to be, SAR was not sure, but then we believe it's going to be more on outcome-based learning program only. So I take this opportunity to thank today's resource person for his valuable guidance, suggestions, and everything. On behalf of every participant who have attended this event, teachers from our college, students, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to him. We had a very nice time, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Really, we had a very nice time. It is an unbelievable experience for everyone. What more to say? Thank you very much again, sir. I think, in future, I think you will be cooperating with us. We will be very happy to do so, sir.
Thank you. So thank you for inviting me, sir. I'm happy to hear such nice words.
In spite of your busy schedule, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, participants.
Yeah. Thank you all. I would leave now. Thank you.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, the feedback
Thank you, sir.
is posted in both the links and in the WhatsApp group also. You can fill the feedback form. Participants, dear participants, thank you very much for being with us. We'll be organizing this kind of events in future. Mr. Ganapati, I think you don't mistake me. I will request Syed sir to share some of his materials with you. Right? Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone of us.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ரொம்ப பிடிச்ச